Call the EDA meeting order. Approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Approval of the October 1st and October 13th board minutes.
Make a motion to approve those minutes. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Financial reports. That delinquent one has been satisfied.
It will be satisfied in a couple days. Your signatures are on that.
Any questions on that, program funds report or the loans report? Okay, Riverview Heights Playground on Outlaw A.
So in Riverview Heights, we still own Outlaw A. August of 2024, we had looked at building a park on that. We've gone after a grant to get funding. At that time, we had budgeted about $65,000 to do the playground equipment, installation, freight, all of those pieces. We did not get that grant, and we decided not to move forward with going after that park. Now that we've sold lots in Riverview Heights, we do have some funding. I wrote here the number after all these pieces work themselves out. We have about $108,000 left. We could use that for future projects, EA projects. You could also use a portion of it to put a park in Riverview Heights. And the reason it's on the agenda is because we did have somebody call City Hall.
We're going to talk to one of you guys in that regard, wanting the park out there.
Because of the taxes.
No, actually, not only that resident, but I've had another resident, their grandchildren come and they want that structure back.
Can you put some designs together? Is there a company that does that? And can you get pricing? Or?
Yep, so I was kind of looking to see if there was, if you wanted me to budget that $65,000, if you wanted me to look less, how much funding you wanted.
What did that $65,000 all include?
It was the playground, installation freight, surfacing borders, sidewalk labor. These were numbers I got from a company. I can look at more companies.
The grant you applied for?
We did not yet.
We didn't get, but is the funding going to be available again in 26?
Yep, so this is Taylor Row Improvement. This last year we did a child care. There's a different one that's done recreation. It's Taylor Family Farms. They're two separate avenues. There's going to be funding for outdoor recreation again in the future. This specific park may be difficult since it's so few residents that are served versus our main city park.
Sure.
You know, we're looking at our main city park, looking at playgrounds down there as well, so.
If we partially, maybe we'll, if we partially fund it with 30,000 and they give up the other 35.
Yeah, I was hoping to have quotes for you. I just lost track of time too.
No, that's fine.
So I wanted to know what kind of budget I'm looking at here.
Does the sidewalk include going all the way around?
Yep, because it's a permanent lot, so it has size.
So-
Which should be done regardless.
Yeah,
I'd actually contact Miller
And see what-
whenever they're gonna build on an adjacent lot and have it done,
and just have it,
and just have them do it.
But we're talking about the sidewalk there.
we can have
Unless you want to
part of
put
the
it-
project.
Unless you wanna put it all request for proposal, but I don't know that anybody locally is gonna do it without,
Mm-hmm.
I know you can definitely put it out request for proposal
I would make note of that.
at that time too, so it'd be next spring sometime anyway.
Do we have to worry about equipment driving over the top of the park though, or no?
Probably, yeah, I probably wouldn't make that big a deal for setting park equipment once.
But I know at the end of the year, Game Time is one of the vendors that comes out with deals where there's liquidations where it's half off, or are you taking that 65,000 from one and they're half off?
That was from one of
So
the
that means
last.
you guys are getting over $100,000 unit for half of the cost.
Well, if you can get something put together and we can
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I wouldn't have an issue with
Okay, I'll talk
allocating
to
the money
you.
towards it, I guess.
Concur
Whoever
with
the
that.
council feels.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I would just assume that if we did that, any grants would have to be before anything happened. As soon as we put a shovel in the ground, whenever the other, we're gonna be,
One, the challenge too is a lot of times they're half off right now, then we have to store the equipment for the next year.
right?
And so just the timing of that can be tricky.
Sure.
I'll bring something back for the next one.
EDA CETA contract expansion to LaSalle and Louisville.
So, following several months of discussion with Medelia Area Redevelopment Corporation and the city and the chamber, we brought forth a request on November 18th to the Waukegan County Board of Commissioners to request that the $24,000 that was annually given to Mark for economic development on the eastern Waukegan County side be appropriated to the city of Medelia. We had a letter of support from Mark, as well as Louisville and LaSalle. The vision is to benefit off the cost savings that you guys have through having the city contract already, bump that up a day, and provide those expanded services to Louisville and LaSalle. So the county board did vote to approve in 2026, appropriating that to the city of Medelia next year. And I have here the work plan that I showed them last week. And so what I'm looking for here is a motion to go forward with expanding that CETA request, or CETA contract to 4 days a week. And I have Dave Schmidt here, who's my regional manager, if there's questions about the cost of that.
How does that time commitment look, Sheila? From, divider the time that's allotted for Louisville, Sal, and Medelia? Is there a,
The difference between 3 days and 4 days is about $20,000. And so the appropriation for the county is $24,000. I guess I'd almost ask Jim too about what, I have a work plan here of what's expected, but exactly, you need to get 1 day a week to Louisville and LaSalle is not necessarily spelled out, because sometimes there's projects that affect Medelia, Louisville, and LaSalle. You can see here what I expected to do in Q1 and Q2. So first impressions report, the vacant lots inventory, and then more of these regional projects, the countywide housing study, and infill housing on portfolio.
From a countywide housing study standpoint, do you have points of contact at Louisville and LaSalle as far as right now? Who are you gonna be dealing with on those days that you're gonna be helping them out? I know they probably don't have like full-time staffing, so it might be a little bit challenging that way, but.
My contacts are mostly the mayors right now,
Okay.
and their city clerks.
I know there, even at that housing study meeting, there was some discussion that there wasn't, a lot of input on the housing study from either. So maybe you could kind of bridge that gap and help represent them a little more.
Yeah.
You have a motion to,
The expansion of this contract is, you, not any additional people, is that correct? You will be 4 days a week. There is nobody else. Just want to clarify that, please, right?
Sylvia and I talked about it last week, and if she's comfortable, then I'm comfortable.
All right, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve that contract.
I'll second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Medelia local option sales tax analysis through UMN.
So I'm not coming in here and saying we need to raise taxes, that's not what I'm doing this way. I'm mostly bringing this up because we have, we've looked at a lot of capital projects, particularly looking at our park. Pool is the big one that comes to mind. Trying to see if there are other avenues that we can use instead of property taxes, bonding, some of those other pieces. Before we even decide if a local option sales tax is something we wanted to go after, I'm recommending that we use the University of Minnesota Extension Office and evaluate what kind of funds could even come in. And so I know the county went forward with a different, it's not a local option sales tax, it's a roads and sales tax piece, so their process is a little different. If this were to go through, you actually have to bring it to the city as a vote, as a referendum. So we're far behind them. There would be a lot of head for us if we were to go forward with something like this. But I wanted to bring this to your attention. It's only $1,000 to go after this analysis. I think $1,000 potentially generate revenue from visitors as well as residents. Could be significant as we look at the pool especially.
Is the information in this analysis or study or whatever it is going to be usable for anybody else, chamber or anybody, as far as seeing the total sales and retail sales and, visitor incomes and stuff like that, maybe so they can target market a little better?
It's pretty limited for the size of where we are. If it was a larger city, it would have more detail. This is obviously open to them. They can see it. I linked
Okay.
the U of M link. We'll show you what that analysis would look like.
And for $1,000 is probably worth exploring. I'll make a motion to approve the analysis option.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. 2026 work plan.
So you can see here I put together a recommended work plan for 2026. One thing that I have on here that has been on here for a while has been a zoning code update. So the goal would be to finish that. Our city revolving loan funds, we do still have $99,000 from the USDA that does need to be loaned out in order for us to keep that award. We do not loan that out. The USDA will take that back. The reason we didn't loan it out in recent loans that we've had is because the government shutdown happened, kind of in that time frame. Additionally, with the USDA, they do have, sometimes you have to go through environmentals or there's additional studies that have to be done, so it can be a slower timeline than what our loan recipients want.
Have we had people asking about that?
The loan funds, yep, and I've had people asking since and recently, so I'm in conversations with people.
So when's the deadline for that?
On an annual basis, I ask them to extend it. Right now, I believe it comes back up in like early fall of next year.
Oh, so we'd have till early fall to get it out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then next on there is partnering with the Chamber to market Medelia. Chris and I have talked a lot about, especially trying to market our park more, the campgrounds, some of our event spaces. And then the Chamber has been trying to do more marketing as well, sharing some of our photos, videos together. Did just get finally a flash drive that has got a lot of our photos and videos. So hoping to get to work with that early on next year. And then the other item I've highlighted here is to investigate commercial and industrial land expansion opportunities. I know we just wrapped up a housing subdivision. We're very excited about that. And we talked about housing expansion opportunities, but if we're going to try to bring in any new businesses, I do not have many places to put them. And I would love to talk to the board here about that in the near future. I'm trying to get a plan in place so that we can grow some of our businesses. I know that there's some businesses too that have actually shop spaces that have been transformed into residential spaces. So we're actually losing even some of the space we do have.
Wait, do we have any kind of information on like the lift station or anything out at Olson Drive? Of what that can handle, or there's some kind of a...
Is that by you? Like,
Yeah, like
what's the capacity
Yeah.
in regards to how much we can put on it?
that lift pump, you
Can we
know,
put X amount of industrial on it? Can we put X amount of housing on it?
Right offhand, though, but I'm sure that when they designed it, they always designed for basically a max load.
yeah, I was just curious what that looks like, you know,
Jim, are you involved in
how you
that?
really gauge it.
I don't remember what.
You don't remember? Okay.
From the zoning side of it, is that something you're planning on when you're redoing this, zoning and all these zoning ordinances? And kind of looking at, what might look different on an updated zoning map as far as if we need to rezone some industrial potentially?
Yes. The other thing I mentioned to Chris too is when you do a zone map, you can actually zone spaces that are outside your city limits.
Sure.
So even though there's some land that maybe isn't annexed into the city, you can still zone it for the future. Going forward to the next kind of section, looking at housing, we've got the Van Houten Housing Development Partnership. We've been doing great work on that. I know they're kind of paused, I think, for the rest of the year. My job is just to help make sure that we're monitoring it and that that partnership works out well. Potentially, we could do other ones like that in the future. And then, as I mentioned, residential land expansion opportunities. And then the resolution that will get added to your city council list is that Greater Minnesota Tier 2 Small Cities Program. That is the grant that we got to put in infrastructure in the Medelia Mobile Village. So I anticipate some time spent monitoring and sure that grant program goes smoothly. Going down to the next section, quality of life. We've got the FEMA Safe Room Grant. With an anticipated construction timeline through Q1 of 2027, so that's expected for the next year plus. And I've been working with Medelia Municipal Light and Power on several grants to vary some of their electrical line. Just wrapping up one here too, there's an application they're submitting to the State Competitiveness Fund. Additionally, looking at that safe routes to school, making sure that people can get to the place they're trying to go to. We've got a sidewalk audit that I started this year, and that I'll continue. I'm particularly interested in seeing about some projects near the elementary school, now that the school is kind of passing their referendums, see where they want to invest there. Redesign of arrival dismissal is still in there based on conversations in the past, and then looking at that redevelopment of Watona Park, we have some conversations still ongoing with our U of M partners and what we want to see there. So expect further communication on that. And then finally, working to communicate updates on the Center Out project next year. Is there anything else you'd like to see added as a priority or removed as a priority for next year?
The research and facilitate development of Watona Park Riverfront.
Yep.
Is there anything in that master plan that we could apply for that DNR grant for?
Yes. Yep. If we wanted to do trails, things like that. The one tricky part that we recognized this last year is the ADA accessibility kind of bumping up against kind of that natural, cheaper opportunities. I'm not super familiar on what it would look like if we went more for the natural trails, but
Right.
I definitely would like to see that.
Might be something kind of really,
And this is where if we went after that other grant that you tried going for that, on the subdivision park, this would be better for the river park. Do you think we'd have a better chance since it serves the greater community, or?
For a playground or anything like that. I know we're going to talk about the bathhouse, and there's kind of a playground expected there.
Okay.
The playground that's near the ball field has always been brought up too in our playground study of
I think one of the
Very
things that kind of got brought up, even when we were talking about going after the DNR grant for this, was how ADA compliance and some other things throughout the park would have to be brought up to compliance, which, depending on what you're looking at, is not really always cost effective. But if the natural trails and some of the other stuff that was being proposed was stuff that wasn't going to be ADA compliant anyway, maybe those would be looked at differently. I don't know. Might be something we can at least talk about with whoever our contact is at the DNR.
We can also always bring it up to legislatures if they're saying this is a great program, but it's not quite meeting the needs of our community. That's something I want to emphasize is kind of the concept there. So if you're ever talking to legislators, I'd recommend that.
EDA specialist update.
Can I just get a motion to approve that one? Just so I have it, that you
Oh.
approve that plan.
Okay, a motion to approve the 2026 work plan.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now we'll go into the specialist update.
So that campground safe room grant, we got a request for further information from the feds, so we're filling out that information. It's due December 12th, working with Bolton and Inc. to get some of that information. I've been working with FEMA as well on some project closeouts. There's 5 numbers there, so it's a lot of fun trying to get them to move forward. Some of those early ones are from the a very early flood before I started with the city. 360, 363, 371, and 215.
2018, 2019,
Yeah.
2020, 2021. Could have been any of them.
That's a federal or state side?
That's a state. That was the state one, that one entailed the white building.
Oh,
There's just been a lot of transition at their offices, and they even transferred. We had one for program, and now these different programs, so maybe they lost some files in the process there. So, Housing Institute, I went to workshop 3 of that, in some conversations with my partners on whether that's still a valuable thing to go to. So I'll keep you posted, but the piece that we're working on is that info housing lot portfolio. The hope and goal is to have some sort of event with housing developers, contractors in the area to talk about the housing study as well as the portfolio, to give them some great opportunities. Housing study, the survey closed at the end of October. We had a strategy session on November 19th. Annie was there, Chris was there. In our conversation, we focused on rentals, but we also felt that you could pretty easily talk about single-family occupied as well. There's a need for all of it. The reason we picked rentals is because there's so few vacancies in the ones that are in town. Loans, a lot of administrative work on those 2 loans mentioned there, and then all of the review of Heights lot sales happened, and there was a groundbreaking that broke ground on 893 Mallory's Court. So if you want to swing up there and see them, you can go see some dirt being moved.
Can't waste any time on that one.
So working on that sidewalk inventory, and then as I mentioned, the statewide competitiveness fund application. So with that, they had those 2 other grants they went after, a federal and a state grant. They're looking for additional state money to help complete that project.
Public comment?
just one thing, that 24,000, Chris, for budgetary reasons, that's transferred in July. Just so you're okay with that.
Usually don't get any checks from the county until July anyways. Yep, thank you. But is it the full amount in July?
I believe so. Yeah, so.
That's all it's keeping us.
Okay.
Unless we get by for 20 grand, send it directly to Steele United.
Are you wheeling and dealing?
Anything else? Next EDA meeting is December 22nd. There's nothing else.
Make a motion to adjourn. Second.
All those in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.